Last year not only marked the end of an era for Congregation Ohav Emeth, but the end of an era period. With the patir of our beloved Mr. Neiderman, over 40 years of service and dedication to our shul came to a close. This year we honor Mrs. Neiderman and pay tribute to her beloved husband, Morris of blessed memory. At this time we'd like to share some recollections, some stories, and some pictures of a great era in the history of our shul and our community. Even though OE's history dates back many years before Mr. and Mrs. Mermelstein, along with Mr. and Mrs. Neiderman, came here, literally they were builders of our synagogue into the next generation upon their arrival here in the 1970s.
Okay. Mr. Neiderman, will you please introduce these people?
From the right side is my beautiful wife, Rose Neiderman. I met her already, thank God, 51 years almost in May, and I hope another 20 years.
Mrs. Neiderman, when you and Mr. Neiderman arrived in the United States in 1969, what made you decide to come to OE as opposed to the other shuls in the area?
The sister was here, and that's him. The uncles was here. And we was with her for 3 months when we come. That's we decided we want to go.
But this shul as opposed to any other shul that was in New Brunswick, you picked OE.
Yeah, he picked up this shul.
Okay, and Mrs. Neiderman, I know there are probably many special moments and stories over the many years you've been here, but what sticks out in your mind as one of the best moments with you and your husband at Ohav Emeth?
Well, he liked the shul. He liked to go every morning, get up 5 o'clock, and in the night he liked to go in shul. He's a shul man. He was sick, he went in shul.
And we had a lot of friends here. He came
Yeah.
in, he chatted with everybody every
Yeah.
day. He liked everybody.
And then he have friends, so they come and visit me now too. And Richard Komar comes every Friday night, Kiddush making for me, with my
That's very
wife.
nice.
And I love it, that's very nice. And the shul, the people give me respect for him and they give and for me.
Let's go back to the beginning and find out his
Yeah.
story. Sure.
He was 18 years old when they took them away to Hungarian in 1942. They took them away, and one time or 2 times he see the mother and the father. The rest, in 1944, they took the mother and the father and the grandfather and the whole family away. And he no see more the people. After when he come home in 1945, she come home, him sister, that's he met her, and no more from the family. She went off, she left him and back. She married in village, and she went to America, and my husband stayed home after I met him. 3 days, 4 days before, and he told me he can go in Cap. I said, we married. In 1946, we married. And we lived nice. We don't have to, I don't know what, but just we have the life.
Where were you living at that time?
In a village, in Komarovets, we were in Russia. In 1947, in February, my son was born. And 2 years later, we come to Uzhhorod live, in a city we come to live. And we started, he went to work, and I worked. And we lived, made a nice living, a nice little house. Then we started. And after in 1953, my daughter was born, May 11. I am born in 1926 in Czechoslovakia. And after the Czechoslovakia come the Hungary in 1938. In 1937, the Ukraine come in the village. And in 42 come to Germany. They took us away, a lot of people they took away. His sister met 2 children, met 3 children in 1942. They take of Germany, of Ukraine. For their sister, he was very. He cried for their sister, but they was killed.
How old was he at that time?
He was 18 years old.
So he was just getting out of high school.
Yeah. No, that was high school. He no went, I don't know, he just went in a Sunday school in Yiddish. No, in 1944, they take us away, the whole Jews of a city in a factory was make the stones. And there was 4 weeks. After the 4 weeks, take the train. Him, I don't know. I just know my mother and my sisters. The brothers, they take them in 142 and one they take them in 43. I never met them. I never see more, the brothers. And they bring us a Saturday of Auschwitz. And we stayed the whole night of the train. The second night, they take at 12 o'clock up and train us. We take up on the train, and I stayed with my mother. My mother was very weak. When I bring up the mother from the train, I was 18. I bring up my mother from the train, and the German comes, he said, Mengele, stock with sticks, with dogs, go in, and my mother in, and I am by myself, and I know see not my sisters, nothing. After slowly come to me, 4 sisters lay me. And in the night, in 12 o'clock, we walked from Auschwitz to Birkenau, Birkenau. And in Birkenau was this a shower there, and we see how the people in the foods have them by the feet, by the hand they throw in fire. And we started very screaming, and a Slovak girl get up off the table. She said, "Don't scream, don't look in. We be all right. We taking a shower and we give them for you the clothes, the striped clothes, be everything all right." That's how we did it. And then we went in shower, and the German hit at us about the body, about the naked body, hit at us, and they shaved, they did the hair and everything. When we take them shower and give us the striped dress, we stayed bis Monday morning. I see we today, Monday morning, they took us in a lager of Birkenau. And there, in the day we stayed, we went to sleep. And of the night, they started screaming, Munkaj out, Munkaj out. Well, wire transport was Munkaj. We went out, they took us for the last girl from Kashov and Ungvar, they don't let going his people, but they scared, they filled with the people going in the crematoria, and that's we went for the number. I was for my sisters the first, 5720, Alager 5728. I was the first after my sisters. And when we have the number, we went back in the camp, in Lager, Alager. And in the morning 4 o'clock, we went Seelapel, 5, and we went of Birkenau working. And I said for my sister, we coming here, we went for a shower. My sister said, that's not true. I say, yeah. But before, when we walked from Brezhnev, Birkenau, we see the Sonderkommando going home. From one side, the dogs with Germany, if another side, And I recognized two boys from the third village. But they just not tell for us nothing, just we walked working, they walked sleep home. Van dust, we started working and we don't have there not toilet, nothing, but it's new everything. In the night, 4:30, we went home. We went in lager in the camp. In the lager, that was before 4 or 5 weeks. For Schwiers, we worked already for Schwiers in the camp. For Schwiers, they told for us we staying there we working. And 2 baracken they gave us. One was polka dots, red dresses, another was blue dresses, the polka dots dress. Dat komt met us, Julie Steiner, was one bed for 6 people. And we was 5, and Julie Steiner was 6. You remember Julie Steiner? No. Okay, that was 6. She was with us in bed. And for Schwiers, we going working in the morning, and we see a lot of old people with kinder, with babies going. And one, I recognize my aunt with babies, but I no can going to her, I no seeing her, nothing. They went in the crematorium. For Schwiers was the voice, the Jewish people was burning. For Schwiers. Before, when we went from the barak, from Alage working, we see in the woods, the old Hasidim staying in Davenen, with the babies hungry, they holding, with the packages, with the strammels. We walked some barak, we working, and that was finished already. They was burning.
So what kind of work did they make you do in the camp?
I tell you what kind of work when they bring from the crematorium the clothes, you know, when the people taking off and him the clothes, and who from the trains the clothes, and they break in the barracks, and we rised, we taped, picked up the threads. That was a lot the Jewish people put that away. This kind of work we do it. One barack was the shoes throat separating, and we ripped the dresses, the threads, this kind of. And food, don't ask what we have. We have just green growers. And a potato we have from the ground with the dirt. They get us a potato eat.
And from the left side of mine, only one sister, the whole family, but that's all.
And her name?
Her name is Regina Nermelstein Rivka. I love her so much, I can't tell you, I know more.
Okay, Mrs. Mermelstein, when did you arrive in the United States?
I arrived with my husband December the 20th of 1946.
Uh-huh. So you were actually here a long time.
Yes.
Were you in the camp also?
Yes,
Could you tell us your story?
sure. My story is that I lived in a village with my parents and with my siblings in a place that was called Komarowitz. And we were 3 boys and 3 girls. My oldest sister was Esther Gittel, and then it was my brother Morris, and then I had a brother Nosen, and then it was Rivka, and then it was Wolf and Leah. And in 1944, the last day of Passover, it was over, they gathered all the Jewish people together. We didn't have telephones, and we didn't have radios. but there was a man who would go out at the main road with the bongos, and announce that all the Jews have to pack up and go to the school, and that's what we did. We went to the school, and from the school, we were transported to Inungvar. It was called, that where the station was, where they gathered all the Jews together. And we were there for about 4 or 5 weeks, I'm not sure. And from there, we went on trains. And I forgot to tell you, I had an elderly grandfather living with us, my father's father. At that time, he was 86 years old. So we all went to Auschwitz. My mother took me and my little sister Leah, and my father went with Grandpa and my brother Norson also. Maris was in the Hungarian army, so he wasn't with us. He didn't go to Auschwitz. And once we arrived to Auschwitz, it was just around this time, it was Shavuos. They took my father and my grandfather and my 2 brothers away, and I was there with my little sister Leah, and the SS came and he took my hand and he said, kommst mit mir. And my mother was begging him, sie ist mine, and he just pulled me away, and that was the last of it. And I stayed in Auschwitz in Seelager Block 26, entirely different than what my sister-in-law went through. And I stayed there, I don't remember how long. I don't remember my past very well. I don't remember, but they moved me from there to Salzwedel to work in a night shift in a factory. I was making the shells for the bullets. I was stacking them on the, whatever they bronzed them. And that's where I worked. And in 1945, April the 14th, we were liberated by the Americans. And we were very, very fortunate because a week before, the Germans were supposed to come and pour gasoline around our barracks and to exterminate us. But the Americans, God bless them, rescued us. They came before, and I survived. But I didn't have anybody with me in the family. And then we started to, they were starting to send us wherever you want to go. You want to go to Sweden, you want to go to here or there. I just wanted to go home to see if I'll find someone. So when I arrived in Prague, first we were in Budapest, stopped then in Prague, and then I went for a walk with a lot of other girls. And as we were walking on the main route, which was called Imka, and a Czech soldier came over to me, and he says to me in Yiddish, "Bist du nicht Menashe's Tochter? Aren't you Menashe's daughter?" And I said, "Yes." "Who are you?" He says, "I'm Moshe the Patzkinever." So he says to me, "Why don't you go home? You have a brother home." I said, "Which one?" He said, "Moshe Mendel." So that's how I found out that I had a brother, so I proceeded to go home, and I did get home. And my brother knew already that I'm coming, And I'm sure it was his happiest moment of his life and mine that we met from the Watch family. Only the two of us survived. And the nice part of this, what came out, that I married that Moshe when he met me in Prague. And then he went home to his home, and I went there, and he asked me if I would marry him, and I said I have to ask my brother. And he was a friend of my brother, so he asked my brother, can I marry your sister? And my brother, with a big smile, said if she wants to. And we got married 1945, October the 14th.
So tell us a little bit about how one went to the Hungarian army, how you got your house back, and then eventually how you went to America.
When we were born, all of us, it was Czechoslovakia. Then the Hungarians took it over. And that's when they took us away to Germany, to Auschwitz. After I was already liberated, we were all liberated, and we came back, it wasn't Hungary anymore, the Russians took it over. It was Russia. And everybody was running away from Russia. I was married, or my brother, he stayed at my parents' house. And he was young and handsome, and he had a wonderful time running around, whatever. He was 6.5, almost 7 years older than I am. I turned 16 in Auschwitz. So my brother was living in my parents' house, and I was not very happy. I didn't have anybody. It was the little house that we lived in, and with all the siblings, mother and father and grandfather, and I was there all by myself. I was very, very, very unhappy there. So then Moshe asked me to marry him, and my brother said, okay. So I got married October the 14th, and right there and then we packed up, and we were trying to go back to Germany. Oh, there's, I went out with my husband already, I was married, a young bride of 17, to a nightclub in Prague, and I saw an American soldier, and I went over to him and asked him if he knows where New Brunswick, New Jersey is, because we had a very large family here, my brother and I, aunts and uncles. And he told me yes, and I had an address from there. And I took that address with me, and once we tried to go back to Germany, but it wasn't easy. We had to go across the border, and they caught us, it was not legally to go across the border. We had some of these Jewish organizations that they helped us, and they chased us back, and then the next day we went again, and we went to Germany, and we stayed there for a while, and I started to correspond with my family, with my aunts and uncles and cousins, and one of my cousins, our cousin, he sponsored us, my husband and I, and when I was leaving the place where I was born, my brother said to me, you just go ahead, I'll follow you. Well, it took him 25 years later. So my cousin sent us papers, and in 1940, we were supposed to come in August, but the good old United States of America, the boats were on strike, so we were stuck in Stuttgart, in Bremerhaven, in Germany. And in December, the 20th of 1946, we arrived, and my husband had a sister living in Brooklyn, and she picked us up at the port. So we arrived to the United States then, and we stayed in Brooklyn for 2-3 days, and then my family from New Brunswick came, my aunt, Mrs. Goldman, and a cousin to visit us, and they wanted us to come to live to New Brunswick. So, didn't matter to us, so we came to live to New Brunswick. A few days later, one of my uncles, Sam Neiderman, also used to belong here. He had a shoe store. He was going to get my husband a job because my husband was a cabinet maker. He took him to Sears and Roebuck's, bought him a box of tools, and we got him a job, and he worked as a cabinet maker. But we didn't correspond with my brother right away, because it was the Soviet Union, you know. As soon as we left, they closed the border. So my husband worked there, and then we started to correspond. I don't know, my brother, I think, wrote me first. And it was going on and on and on, here and there, and then much later in my life and in his life, he started to say that he would like to come to the United States, and with his family, he was married, and they have a son, and they have a daughter. So I started to work on the papers. We sponsored him. Then took a long time, very long time, years.
And she had plenty troubles, and she sent me a lot of papers, and they never allowed me out. I had troubles there plenty, and she had troubles with me. I called her. She wouldn't want a lot of time to talk to me. She didn't understand me, what I want, and what I know want. She had plenty of troubles with me. But she sent me papers how many times I begged her to send me. She sent me all kind of papers what I want. When they want now this paper, when they want the one that let me out, I know what they want from me. And I always find a way to come up.
They came, the four of them, to the United States. They stayed with my family for 3 months. And after that, they moved out to their own house. My brother went to work for my husband, because my husband went in there. He didn't work too long for somebody else. In 1950, he went in business for himself. But I also forgot to tell you, it's getting to be a little too much. The first, in 47, I gave birth to a daughter, Hannah, after my mother. 3 years later, I gave birth to my son Mark, which is here always. And then 7 years later, I gave birth to another son, Jeffrey, which his name is Menashe. They came just in time for Menashe's bar mitzvah. They were here, and they are here. And I hope that they were happy all these years that they were here. And we spent a lot of good times together, seders and Rosh Hashanahs and picnics. And all I could say is that I miss my brother very much. I might not talk too much, but what I think, I know. Because talk is one thing, and the feelings are
I understand. We all miss him, and we didn't know him like you did.
So the only two of us survived for such a large family, and now he left me too, and I'm not alone. I have a wonderful, wonderful family. I have wonderful children, and I have wonderful grandchildren, and I don't want to miss to say that I have 5 great-grandchildren. So Kanahara, I am very happy.
When I come to this country, I was the happiest guy in the whole life. I was with my sister and with my family. She have a beautiful family, beautiful two sons and a daughter with a son-in-law, the best what can be to me. We was very close. They was close to my kids, my son. The best what can be in my life. When she makes something, we there. He makes something, we there. When God, his son, no punishment to my son. I mean, the richest guy. We Rockefeller, I was very happy what I have. And I was very happy with America. She said, God no punish me so long. So with my son, I have the best for.
So how did your brother wind up in the Army?
Well, I have to be very honest with you, I don't know. Because as I had mentioned to you before, if I was 13 years old and he was almost 20,
There's a gap there.
as a gap, or he was 19, let's say. So I really don't know. All I know is that he was gone. He wasn't home. Okay? As far as what his profession was, my father was a cattle dealer. Okay? And my brother used to go with our father to the different, how you call it, bazaars, you know, and that's was, whether it was a profession or he just did it, I don't know. Because my other brother, Lewison, he had a profession. He became a tailor. And, you know, it wasn't like in the United States, you finish school, 18 years, and hopefully they go to college and they become whatever they choose. But in Europe, once you were bar mitzvah, that's it. You had to learn a trade. What my brother did is, all I could say is that he used to go with my father to learn the trade, and he talked about it, how he used to go with Dad to the different places. And that's it. So when he came here to the United States, he really didn't have a profession. So he came to work for my husband, and I don't know how many years he worked, not too many, and then he retired from the work. Very, very active young man. He was couldn't everything. No fire under his feet. That's all I could say. He was a very, and he was the happiest guy when I went in '66 to visit him, see how he's standing on top of me. And that Rivka survived. That was very, very, very happy. And so was I. And took me a long time. Wasn't easy. I went through an awful lot to bring them here, but it was worth it. And that's the main thing, that they came here.
So how did he become such a shul person and
He
so about
was-
the Yiddishkeit?
Well, we grew up in a Jewish Orthodox home, okay? Shema Shabbos, and that's what we grew up. He did not go to yeshiva. There was a cheder. He went to cheder, like everybody else did. He really, really became, and she could correct me if I'm wrong, religious in the United States, that God helped him to come here, and he still met all the aunts and most of the aunts and uncles, which is all my father's family, and he was very happy to be within the family and cousins, and of course me, he is with the Schwesterl, so he was very happy, and so I think that inspired him, you know, to become fluent. And that's the only answer I could say, unless Ruchel knows better.
He don't want to go work Shabbos And he come to
Well, it takes more than go work Shabbos to be.
He told me that many times when he comes to, he's not working on Shabbos ever.
He was very true.
Are you involved in the shul here?
I start to be a Shomer Shabbos right away. I don't want to work. And I promised myself, when I come in a country, I can keep Shabbos, I'm gonna keep it. And I start to be a Shomer Shabbos. I worked every Saturday with the people in shul to New Brunswick. Then was I at shul in New Brunswick. And then was very small when I had a lot of people to Shomer Shabbos people. And we start to little, and we have a big congregation now.
So anything else that you want to add to the story? It's a beautiful story
You
about.
could correct if I
Right.
said something that
That's
you
you
might
know,
think.
that's you said good. When we married in 1946, May the 2nd, 1946, yeah, May the 2nd. And after, it was not a kosher in Europe. We no can't have koshers. Just he went in the villages, he bought a little cow, and we made the scheuchet geschochten, we cut it, and we have meat. A chicken we raise chicken, and we bought a chicken, we have meat from this. Aber meat, we no can't have kosher. Was not. A lot of people, 10, 12 families was kosher in the city. That's we one each other help with the kosher meat. And my kids was very raised kosher. My son, eat at no place. And the daughter was home. He was strictly kosher. She no can do on Shabbos nothing. Was Shabbos. He said, that's a Shabbos, a Shabbos. He thought. And for me too. That's we was, I was from a kosher home, from an Orthodox kosher home. My mother is from a frum family. The father was not so frum. My mother is from a frum family. My mother have 7 brothers, and everybody was educated from yeshivas, with the black kaputas, with the hat. My mother had. And that's we lived in Russia. We helped for each other. Was a lot of Jewish people was in hospital sick. A couple times I went to help in taking food Shabbos, eating for kids, a bris machen, I helped. He helped. He helped what he can just do, and he helped.
Very good.
We no have Pesach, come Pesach, we no can't, we have to close the windows, making Pesach. And that's what not easy koshers have in between. Some common a bar mitzvah making, or what for kids. One family went to, the son was bar mitzvah, they took them to shul, 4 o'clock in the morning. And the Kehebe come and said, why he's here? And their father said, not the father, somebody say, the father died, he have to pray him for the father. Was not easy.
So what did he do when he was in Russia?
He worked in a shoe store. He had a shoe store from government he worked, And Russia was not nothing hands. That's it was the government's everything. He worked in a shoe store. Yeah, he had a good time there, The people loved him, the people this. We was together, but 6, 7 women. We went to help him for poor people making weddings. We have a lot of friends.
So how did it take you so long to decide to finally come to America?
Well, the Russia don't give them the
Visas.
the visa. They don't want to, the Bachayes, the Kihibeh, they don't want to give them. They called me, and they told for me, you have here four sisters. You want to leave the sister and go to him, sister of America? I say, listen, my husband goes and I go too. You want to, I sign and I sign for you. Oh, but you sisters never can come out. I say, we see what happened. I sign for you. And they let me live. After she sent that again, papers, and we went to Kiev. Give them this. And we went in of Kiev, and their professor, their whole police, he said, he had the hand and the papers, he said, in 3 weeks wait antwort. We give you. And that was, this time we come. That's the son was in Kharkov in college. The daughter finished in Russia the school. Was not so easy picking up the children. They know that. You have a nice life, you have a nice house. They said, why you want to go of America? The Russia.
In Moscow, I take tickets. I had a choice to take tickets with the Russian plane or with the American plane. I choose the American plane. And I was always afraid I no go for America. I was always afraid they're going to take me in jail to Sibir. But I was so afraid. When I come to Denmark, they stopped their plane. The planes picked up other people. I went down and I see all the kind of things there. I know. I believe that I come to America. My wife, and we were there a half an hour. My wife with my son, last in they slept. I no slept in the plane, not even a minute. And my daughter too with me. We was always afraid I should come ahead to America.
And he was very sick the last Shabbos, and he went mitten in shul, and I looked for a half an hour, we can I find him. I find him of 6th Avenue, corner 7. And when we bring him home, after he sat down by the table, he don't know nothing more. He come to himself, was good. Was again went to shul. He left for the shul. I remember Rabbi Kabinetsky when he come to in our house in Adelaide Avenue. Well, I said he comes as Shabbos noch Mittag. Making Kiddush, but I give the Kiddush, I don't know. I don't know what, I don't remember what was.
May his memory be a blessing for us all.
Yeah, he's very, I look and sleep now. I look, the bed is empty. And this was worse when the last time I took them in hospital, he told me, why you bring me in hospital? I won't die and dying in my bed. I say, okay, I said, Dr. Zimmerman, can you take him home? Can I take him home? He said, I give him today blood, and after we take him home. Oh, but you take him home, but you have him help. I say, okay. The kids find a lady, and I bring them home. He was the happiest guy home when he come in the morning to shul. He went in the little room in television, lie down of his couch. This, yes. One day, Friday night, he no make the ready Kiddush. Well, he said he no can swallow, he no can Kiddush make. He went in his bed. Yeah. This was the last. I see it when he died. And he died with a smile. A couple times in the day I went to pick him. the blanket out and I sit him, I hugged him, I kissed him. Just I no let them take him away while he was water when I came. I no let them take him. Don't take him, I said, Rabbi. He said, you know, sometimes I miss him call. He say, Ruchu, come here, come a days, over days.
The kind of dedication that both of these families have shown to this shul over many years is a rare event to see this day in this day and age. What can you say, you know, in closing that people can remember your husband?
He liked to the shul. He went 2 weeks before. He said for me, okay, I have here in the shul 2 Sefer Torahs. One he bought it when my son was sick. He was from him. Van Ungvar. Somebody bring a Sefer Torah and we bought it and we fixed here. I don't know what this Sefer Torah is. And after he gave half money of a Sefer Torah, the shul gave half money, he gave half money. That they have the new Sefer Torah. And he told me before, I don't know what he liked to have. The parents no can't give him nothing. He would like to have something. Give me shoe. He told for me this.
We'd like to welcome everyone here in celebration of the Hachnosas Sefer Torah by the Neiderman family and the congregation.
Here's another Kohen. Somebody needs to keep on. Here's another Kohen too. Here's the Kohen.
Take it easy on that.
We're number 1. Job description.
Give her a kiss. Give her a kiss.
By way of expressing our gratitude and brachos to the Neiderman family, to focus on one of the roles of Mr. Neiderman in our synagogue. I mean, in addition to being a Gabbai, he stands near the Torah, and to be a Gabbai at Kriyas HaTorah. Now, when one looks at the halacha where this emanates from, one realizes that this is no small task, because the Mechaber state the halacha that just as the Torah was given through a mediator, namely Moshe Rabbeinu, through a broker, through a middleman, so our Torah reading has to have this format. So that our Torah reading, Lamaisa, has a minimum of 3 people standing. There's the one who has the aliyah for the Torah, that represents Klal Yisrael, Bnei Yisrael. The one who's reading the Torah, and he takes on the role of Moshe Rabbeinu, who gave over the Torah to Bnei Yisrael. And the Gabbai in the ranking has the most prominent, in quotes, role, because the Gabbai is standing Keneged HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that one has another situation where the posturing is also Knessinasa, that the public reading of Torah is not only a public study of Torah, but it's a public giving over and receiving of Torah with the roles of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Moshe Rabbeinu, and Bnei Yisrael. And the Gabbai has the ranking here, Keneged Kaviyachol HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I once heard from Rav Soloveitchik, Shlita, that the greatest accolade that a person could be privy to is that of a Malamed. We think of a Malamed as somebody who teaches children of the primary grade. But the Rav explained that we actually have within the text of Bracha, that's very prominent, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu considers himself a Malamed also, because we make the bracha of HaMalamed Torah Le'amo Yisrael. To us, such an occasion where someone undertakes to write a Sefer Torah is a kiyum of facilitating Talmud Torah by creating Sifrei Torah. It's Mr. Neiderman's role of Gabbai and really part of the triumvirate of Knessinasa in the public reading of Torah. And it's also, I think, from the Neiderman's point of view, part of their ongoing prayers to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, that they should be zocheh to be in the role of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Kaviyachol, in that of Malamed, of teaching Torah. It's a family that's had a rough trip. It's a family that's relatives whose tenure as teachers and learners of Torah was cut short during the Holocaust. It's a family that's transplanted itself from the Soviet Union and is trying very hard to give over Torah teachings to its children, to its grandchildren, and to the entire community. We all know the Neiderman. We all hear Mr. Neiderman when he yells at us because we don't do things exactly as they used to do it in the Hain, whether it's compatible with the Shulchan Aruch or not. And we all hear Mr. Neiderman when he gives that proverbial plop on the Shulchan before every Aliyah to alert us that we're about to engage in another vignette of Talmud Torah B'tzibur K'Nissinasa, with the Kadosh Baruch Hu's role, with the role of Moshe Rabbeinu, and with the role of Bnei Yisrael.
How do you feel?
From you.
You got it. How do you feel today?
I'm
Happy?
happy.
What does this mean to you? What does it mean?
It means to me I fly in the himmel. I am happy. I can do it. And I do it again. God help me. I be healthy. I do it again.
You know, no made so bad in America. I make my life very good with my wife. We very happy. And I have very nice kids and everything. Just be healthy and then God no punish me so much. So I'm the happiest guy in the whole world. I'm here. I can be a Jew in America.
Do you have any messages for the future generations after living through the Holocaust and living through, do you have any message that you could leave for your children and your grandchildren?
I have messages they never should forget what they went through. And they should always look of the tapes aber auf our generation who went through the Holocaust and who went to the labor camp, how much we suffered, and when we went through so much, and we always no give up, and they should no give up, and they should always go through, and to be a Jew, and to be a good Orthodox Jew, and should believe always in God. I was not a good kid, but when I was in lager, I covered myself, and I always prayed how much I can, and always believed in God, and God helped me always, and they should believe in God how much they can, and they should no time never give up to believe in God, and they always gonna help and believe in God.